story though for us continues to be around banks. Axis Bank versus ICICI Bank. What's been the growth in the last 10 years and ever since the news of some of the defaults as well as scams too broke out? And now what's the story forward for both these private corporate banking names? Let's bring on board Poonam to really dissect all the data around Axis versus ICICI Bank. Poonam?
Well, thanks so much for that. In fact, just as disclaimer, this entire exercise is limited only to how the financials of both ICICI Bank as well as Axis Bank have shaped under the tenure since both Shikha Sharma as well as Chanda Kochhar joined the respective banks sometime in 2009. And look at the entire market capitalization growth. Well, pretty much similar, both for Shikha and both under Shikha's tenure and under Chanda's tenure. I guess not too much of a difference in terms of the market capitalization, but look at the entire balance sheet growth. Under Shikha's tenure, the balance sheet growth has been much sharper, growing at nearly 4.4x versus under Shikha versus under Chanda at 2.1x. But of course, the size of the balance sheet for ICICI Bank is much larger. Not just that, in Axis Bank, Shikha has also been instrumental in growing the entire advances book faster, especially the entire retail advances growth has been much faster. 11x is what is the amount of jump that they were able to do in terms of their retail assets under in Axis Bank. In terms of the profitability also, of course, I guess ICICI Bank has done slightly better in terms of profitability versus Axis Bank, and hence that is of course being reflected in the return ratios that should come up on your screen. While the return ratios, of course, both ROA as well as ROE have dampened over the course since 2009 till now, but the ROA has of course been better under Chanda's tenure at 1% for 9 months and at 0.53% under for Axis. Similarly, the ROEs also has declined, but of course it's slightly better under Chanda's tenure. What I guess did impact was the entire NPAs. I guess before we even go to the NPAs, CASA ratio also has jumped up far sharply under in ICICI Bank as well as the margins, and that has been supportive of the return ratios. But what went wrong, especially for Axis Bank, is the sharper pace of the balance sheet accretion and hence the sharper exposure to the infra segment, which led to a much sharper rise in terms of the NPAs during her tenure versus in ICICI Bank, wherein ICICI Bank had already been giving loans to the entire infrastructure sector from a legacy point of view. So I guess from a limited point of view, I guess the profitability in ICICI Bank under Chanda's tenure has been far better versus in Axis Bank, but the balance sheet accretion has been faster in Axis Bank.
All right, Poonam, thanks a lot. I mean, that's a brilliant analysis as to how both the banks did under different leadership. The difference for me, however, is that when we look at the banks, we must also recognize that ICICI Bank has also managed to incubate a lot of subsidiaries, which Axis Bank never did. All they've incubated is their M&A stroke broking business, which is Axis Capital, and that also was acquired from Inam. In case of ICICI Bank, they've got ICICI Securities, they've got ICICI Life Insurance, they've got ICICI General Insurance. 3 of the businesses or 3 of the large subsidiaries have gone public, and the mutual fund business also, I mean, they would end up doing 450-500 crores of PAT in this year. So they've incubated a lot of subsidiaries. So if you have to choose between where I think there is more value, I would say ICICI Bank, because there is a leadership challenge. It is not an issue, it's a challenge. But for Axis Bank, it's the book, which in a sense is not completely clean.
And strangely, I mean, we have 1 minute to go, but on a price to book, even if it's by a few basis points, you have ICICI being cheaper than Axis Bank.
That's
right?
the time markets will give you opportunity, because the sentiment is something which always cuts across and everything gets, painted with the same brush.